system storage thing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Then I'll be back. Then we'll be rolling.
I've been a Windows guy for a minute now.
But
yeah, so like I've just had a Windows laptop. My dad, I think, got one I think he got it for free or for like via work or something. Like a Surface Book, really good laptop. And I just stuck with it for a while. And like a lot of people use Mac in the industry, right? So it's always a challenge trying to just like be compatible with everything. But it's all right. I've been managing.
Yeah, I guess like file type, like WAV, MP3, all that stuff is universal, but it's just like where do you find the biggest challenges?
Mainly with the Apollo interface, just because it's like either Mac or either Windows. They for some reason can't do both. I don't know. It's just so weird.
Obviously like Mac would be the number one, like but we get a lot of people that book this room specifically that are PC guys, just like yourself, and they bring in their Dell or Sony or whatever, and have to get them set up. Downstairs it's more of a challenge because there's like a bunch of external drivers and software we have to get them to install to connect to the
downstairs,
Aurora.
I would say it's like 5 minutes. Like you just,
is it? Yeah.
It's just a USB in, and you install the Aurora driver, and then it's a wrap. Like you can.
Yeah, I mean it's easy, but it's not like if you're Mac, it's just instant, right? So tell me about your studio at home. Tell me about your...
It's just, so I used to have HS5s and a Focusrite Solo, like everyone's first starter setup.
The Focusrite.
Yeah. And then I recently upgraded to the Apollo Twin for the USB version for Windows. And
that's right, yeah.
Now that thing's beautiful. And I also, maybe a month or two ago, I was in... this Twitch streamer's Francis Got Heat. He produced for a lot of like Drake stuff. He's very connected, very in the industry already, very successful. And he just does a stream, and past 3 months or so, he's been doing like a weekly kind of beat battle contest thing where the prize package it's quite blessed. Like you get 2 Atom Audio T5Vs, so like excellent monitors. So I got those. You get Native Instruments Complete 13, which is like Contact, all the essential kind of libraries, guitar rig, just a lot of production stuff that I've been using like every day since I got it. And Arturia, like the FX collection for mixing, and the synths collection, which is like money. Yeah, it's like over $2,000 prize package, and it's just like a beat I made in a couple hours, right? Like,
so you won one of the battles.
Yeah, I won one of the battles.
What you're telling us.
He has his Discord server.
Yeah,
he posts the sample in there. He's like, okay, and there's like only 20 submissions. The streamer, he's like he's not like getting 500 viewers on Switch. Like it wasn't on Twitch. It wasn't like that hard to win. So I ended up lining up.
That's friggin' cool, man.
So I got a bunch of gear. I sold the HS5 since then. Yeah. So it was a good little bit of money back.
Yeah.
Money towards the Apollo. And I also bought an effects pedal. So it's like a guitar effects pedal, but you can run anything through it. It's called Fairfield Circuitry Shallow Water. And it's basically like a filter that kind of moves around. Like it'll open up the louder you drive the signal into it. Like a low pass filter.
Yeah.
And then it's like a detune, like a tape warble kind of thing. And you can kind of mix it in. And if you mix it in, it's like 2 different pitches playing at the same time. You get like chorus flange effects.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So I've been running like a lot of people when they review pedals on YouTube and stuff, it's like, oh, it's a guitar effects pedal. You're running guitar through it.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's as far as they go. But like you can really run like anything through it. Like what I do is like record like even vocals. You can record vocals, run them through it, put reverb on it after, run it through again. Like you just get as creative as you want, and that adds a lot of movement and texture, especially with that filter.
Yeah, and some analog vibe.
Oh yeah,
too,
the saturation. Like I'll run through a guitar, like not even mix any of the signal in with like the detune stuff, but like you drive it just enough, and it'll like thicken it up.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's really great.
So how does that? Is that like used as an insert on the Apollo? Like how is that working?
I have it lined. So in my FL Studio, I have 2 mixer checks, and then one of them goes out line 3/4 in the twin, and then that goes into the input of the pedal, and then the output of the pedal goes into line 2 where like the second mic could plug in. Or
okay.
Or just
and then you just print it in. You
yeah,
record
yeah,
it
and you
back
can
then.
hear the wet signal like instantly.
Yeah.
It's like you don't got to do anything.
Oh, nice.
It's very quick.
Are you hooked on analog now? Are you gonna start buying
Dude,
compressors and shit like I did?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know if I would need that much gear unless I was mixing vocals full time. But I could see myself getting like more like synths. Like I could get a Prophet synth or like a Moog, right? Like
yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple people use like the Prophet Rev 2, and that thing's just so money. Like the sounds that come out of it are crazy. But it's like $2,500. Like I just need to save up for that for sure.
Mixed by Midnight, Adam was here a couple weeks ago, and he's 28 Flares producer, and he was talking to me about his experience using analog synths and just like, you know, coming, you know, similar to you, like a producer, you know, background, but just was so, you know, moved by that experience, just like the tactile nature of it, as well as like the analog sound, right? And it's just like, it's really special when you know, it's a big investment, but it's an instrument in itself, and plus it looks cool in the studio.
Oh, yeah, totally. No, it's amazing because I'm slowly like, I mean, I've been learning to play guitar for like a year and a half now, and then now I'm maybe past 6 months been learning the keys as well, just like like the chord shapes and the scales. They're not that hard to learn. It's like technique, like playing in time and stuff. That's the hard part.
Yes.
Like
the dexterity part.
Yeah, like my memory's pretty good, so I can like, I know like the major minor scale, it's no problem, right? But if it's like the 1 chord to the 4 chord, like you do that really quick, and you gotta know where you're at all times.
Yeah,
and
man.
That's like, that just comes naturally with more playing.
That's the you know, that's like the skateboarder practicing the ollie over and over. It's the hand-eye coordination. It's the, you know, that neural pathway from your brain to your hand where you, like you said, you've got the other part memorized, but like that part that you want to not think about with your hands, it's not quite there yet. And you know, like, you get it with practice.
You get those breakthroughs every so often, and it makes you kind of like just using your hands more and more, and not actually thinking about what you're doing. Because like obviously kind of everyone who starts producing but doesn't really have like a piano background, they're all clicking stuff in, right? Like they're clicking the chords
they're
in.
drawing their MIDI, really.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's just like, it's harder to kind of hear the idea. Like you have to kind of like, you have to do a lot of revising. You play the MIDI and it's like, oh, this chord sucks. Oh, this chord sucks. But if you learn to a point where you can just kind of play 3 chords and you know they're going to be good, it's like 5 seconds. You got that MIDI. You can kind of put it in time after, and it's just way better.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's so true. Like if you understand the chords and stuff, your hands are on the keyboard and you're just like, dun, 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 like and you instantly trying out variations in real time, as opposed to redrawing your MIDI with a pencil tool.
And same thing with like the pedal too. Like I can just kind of click a few buttons and hear it in real time running through the pedal and then printing, and you can kind of just like do these little like off time movements, but they sound really fire like in the mix if you blend them right. And you kind of can't just like, you can't see that far ahead if you're trying to click everything in, and like, you know, it's like those little accidents, or you like press the wrong note, but it's like still in key. I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot you can do by using your hands. More
organic, more in the moment, more of a performance.
Yeah. Especially with chords, like piano chords, it sounds way cooler when they roll it, and then it's like the last note has more impact than the first note. Like the velocities are all different. Right. 'Cause if you're clicking in them in, it's all robotic.
Because most MIDI MIDI applications are going to have like a default velocity, so you put that note in and they're all going to be you know, 80 or whatever it is, the default. And then like you said, you want to humanize it. You want, like in Logic, there's literally a function called humanize. You just hit Command A, select all, and then hit humanize, and it sort of adds like some randomness to all of it.
There's like a strum feature, like a knob where you can strum a chord out after you've laid it down perfectly in time in FL2, but it just doesn't feel the same still, as far like you gotta really just like do it. And then the realest one would be like having like a upright piano or like a grand piano, and just like miking it up with like a couple mics, one left, one right, and just like, you know, get that stereo image.
Yeah,
that's what they do with
that's the
big
penthouse.
Yeah.
That's the presidential suite versus like the motel room, which would be MIDI. Yeah. But absolutely right. I mean, God, then you're really making records.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
couple stereo pair of manly reference cardioids on a grand piano.
Yeah,
with the top opened up.
Yeah,
in a sick room,
yeah.
Dude. Yeah, it doesn't really get much better than that.
It doesn't even have to be a sick room. Sometimes you want that like dirty like feel to it, right? Like the room has a little bit of room reverb, or like you know, you get that. As long as it's not like this super nasty resonance, like you kind of want all that feeling to be recorded. At least for what I'm trying to do, because I kind of want to like get that nostalgic like vintage sound especially when I'm making samples. Like that's a big part of what I do, is just like make these melodies and send them off to other producers so they can flip them, chop them up, put drums on them. So like I'm trying to get something that sounds like the 80s sometimes, or like the 90s, something that's not recorded perfectly, or like something that sounds like it's coming off a cassette player, right? Intentionally, yeah.
Dirtying it or lo-fiing it.
Yeah. That's part of the reason why I got that pedal too, because it just kind of does some of that. Or like you know, like you're playing it off a tape machine. It's like the tape's old, it's kind of crunched up in some places, changes pitch, changes speed, right? So like all that is kind of in the philosophy of what I try to do. But it also depends on the artist I'm working with. Sometimes it's like Jamon who wants pop, right? And it's like none of that. Throw all that out the window. It's like, let's make something catchy, and then
and
clean
really
guitar
clean.
signal. Yeah. It's situational.
Have you used that drip plugin?
Never.
No?
I've seen the ad for it.
Yeah.
Probably 1,000 times.
I fell for it and I bought it. It's pretty cool though, and it's in the same way that like the Chris Lord-Alge, the CLA vocal plugin is just like everything you want right there in easy parameters for vocals. This drip is like that, but it's like I want this vibe, this vibe, or this vibe, and then just it's very clever, I must say.
No, I kind of hate on it. Like, I think the only reason it gets so much hate is because this guy's just so good at marketing.
Yeah. He's become a meme.
Like I'll watch a golf video and drip plugin comes on, and it's like, oh, come on,
him again. It's perfect.
Now we're talking about him on the podcast, right?
And it's always 87% off. Why is it and I was like, fuck, maybe next week it won't be, and then I just fell for it and I bought it. And I by no means do I consider myself like a beat maker producer, so I thought, I might have some cool applications in mixing and whatnot, but I really, beyond like the first day when I demoed it, I haven't opened it again since. So we'll see. There might be another day, another. I mean, I have so many plugins. It's not like I use every single one of them every day anyway. So, but yeah, that one does a great job of like pitch modulation, dirtying stuff up, adding grit.
I'm sure there's like a ton of like beginner producers who just like, this is exactly what
it gives you the instant gratification.
But like the more experienced guys, they're like, I can do that I can kind of do what's under the hood myself, and like they take pride in that too. But it's a balance. Like some people just want speed, and that's all it is. Can't blame them. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you want to just hammer out like 5 beats a night and throw them up on your YouTube page, or you want to do what you're doing and tweak a pedal for a couple hours and get something very special and unique. And there's both of those are correct. I think
there's no right answer.
So like, how long have you been producing, and how is your journey? How is it going? And like, what are some of the biggest like things that you've learned along the way, up to this point?
It's going well. Let's see, maybe I should just so from the start, it was like 9th grade, maybe 6 years ago. Like I was a big fan of like the big room EDM. Like that was my introduction to like, so it wasn't even my sound. That was what I was listening to. Like, do you remember Animals by Martin Garrix?
I think so.
So that song was like a hit. It was in like Vine back then, right? It wasn't TikTok, it was Vine. It was like, it blew up on that.
Okay.
I saw that. And then I saw he had a breakdown of him showing how he made it in FL Studio. I'm like, damn, like they're actually just like putting every sound in place, right? I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. And I was a big music fan. And then, So I got my dad to like find like either a torrented version of FL Studio back then, or he torrented it for me, and I just like started messing around. But I'm like, this is hard.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as he made it look.
Yeah.
And you not on top of like knowing how to structure it, you need all those sounds, and that just takes years on its own. Like
Totally. Yeah.
just getting the right samples for like kick drums and like this and that. So then from there, I kind of went into more like the hip hop direction once I came across like Future, Metro Boomin, and like Drake. Like when they dropped DS2 and What a Time to Be Alive, like that was like, this is sick.
Okay.
Yeah, and like Southside too, like those producers.
So that's pretty recently that you like,
Probably like
you know,
4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like 2016. Like I went to the Summer 16 tour show in Vancouver, and yeah, and then I only started taking like music, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this consistently and like network, trying to meet people maybe about 3 years ago, under 3 years ago. And yeah, I was in college by then, so it was like first year college.
Yeah.
And then since then it's been going great. Like I had a little bit of experience playing guitar from when I was about 9 or 10 years old. Like I did lessons for a couple of years. My dad just like signed me up and I went, and then I kind of dropped it as I got into high school. I was playing a lot of sports too, so just didn't light up.
Yeah.
So I lost all that knowledge, but I feel like I retained some of it.
Yeah,
like
you never really lose that stuff, you know?
So like, especially the ear training from back then, like
Absolutely.
knowing what's in key and out of key, like I think that's what I have to thank for it. If I didn't do guitar, like it'd be a lot harder. But so I have the ear for it. Like I never really checked I never really ask people for like, what's the key of this sound or what's the key of, I just kind of know.
You just have a gut feeling that that's correct or not.
Like my ear's trained enough to that point. And now it's at a point where like I know all the scales. Like I'll play like any song you play, I'll find the root note and then like figure out which key it's in. It's like 5 seconds. I can just do it on like a piano app. So yeah, so I feel like I'm getting a little bit off topic here.
No, this is great. This is what I wanted to hear.
I got the ear training from back in the day when I played guitar, and then I picked it up again maybe a year and a half ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So
are we talking about
like
acoustic, electric?
I have both. So so just either. Both. Yeah. And then maybe about a year ago, I kind of got into like the whole sample making world, which is so like now it used to be like producers are sampling old records for beats, but since then it's become a lot more mainstream to just like for the musicians that want to, they just make sample packs, or they just make compositions with no drums on them, just like musical ideas, and then it's like, hey, you can flip this and we'll clear it if you place it under a major label or something, because it's kind of hard to clear a record from 60, 70 years ago. You don't even know who owns what, and it's like 10 songwriters from like who are probably in their 80s now, right?
A lot of paperwork and all the lawyers and shit. Yeah.
So that's kind of where it went, just naturally. And so now a lot of producers using like loops, samples and stuff instead of just like cooking from scratch or chopping an old record. And so I kind of fell in love with that too, because I wanted to kind of incorporate instruments more. So I started recording guitar samples. First it was like into voice memos and then mixing it. Yeah. Which sounds dope. Like if you want like a dirty sound, it sounds sick. You get that saturation from like the iPhone mic. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the iPhone mic is special actually, man. It's almost compresses it in a way.
The problem is like when you try and pitch it or time stretch it too much, like it's already so like you don't get the highest quality audio.
You're going to get a lot of artifacts after you stretch it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even have the ear for that kind of stuff. So it's like if the chords are there and the melody's there, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And then since then I've just been kind of exploring that, and I started coming around here more. My first kind of session here was with J-Mon, back when he was doing the old J-Mon thing, like he was doing more rap stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so I sent him packs, he liked it, we just kind of cooked up in here. It was like last August, or like almost 2 summers ago. Now that I think about it, it might have been 2 summers ago. I forget. But yeah, and then I've just been doing sessions with here, and I would have to say that like knowing an instrument, knowing guitar has really helped me get into rooms and like add value to sessions.
Right.
Yeah, because like otherwise like people already make beats, people can already record vocals, like what am I here for?
Yeah.
But being able to play an instrument and know how to like use it in the context of what someone wants it to sound like is huge. And that's why I'm trying to learn the keys as well. It's just like the more the better.
Totally, man, because let's face it, anyone with a laptop now is a producer.
Exactly.
So if you can be that plus know how to, walk into a studio, grab a guitar off of the wall, and plug it in and start laying down dope shit, that's, I mean, tremendous value right away.
And then mix it too, like.
Yeah.
A lot of people can play the instrument, but like only through an amp live in a live setting. Like, I feel like I have a good kind of broad knowledge of production and like instrumentation and vocal engineering, like what an artist needs, right? The one issue I have been having is like sometimes I get too into like the instrumentation of it or like the instrumental part of it, and I don't leave enough room for the artist to like have an idea
have a vocal
over
or
it.
add their own melodies.
Sometimes I'll do the lead by accident, just like with the guitar, right? And then it's like how whatever they try is just gonna clash with their melody.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole category, is like instrumental stuff. I feel like a lot of Tame Impala's stuff could probably go without vocals. He's adding. There's tons of like shit going on there, and but you're right. Like knowing when to stop adding stuff is a skill, and takes an ear, and you've got to be thinking a few steps ahead. You've got to be thinking about the mix at some point, and then thinking, I've got to leave some room for this to breathe
especially if you're not in the session. Like if you're in the session, you can kind of get away with like laying down 10 ideas, and then they're like, yo, can you mute this part? I need to record vocals. And then after you could kind of have it for later. But like when you send just a wave file out, unless you're saying like I don't bounce everything to stems all the time. Sometimes I will if it's a really complex thing. But not always. Like you're just sending one wave file. You gotta make sure it's not too filled out, so that someone can first make drums on it. Like if it's too complicated already, it already sounds like a whole song. Sometimes it's even hard for someone to hear like a beat over it, let alone vocals. But like you gotta make sure. I gotta make sure this is something I'm still learning how to do. Sometimes I do it well, sometimes I don't. Just like stop before you get to like the last step. Like let it feel a little bit unfinished.
Totally. Yep. Made me think about something like when you're producing in that way, are you ever putting in placeholders? And what I mean by that is like adding just like a rough drum idea and then muting it later. So just to sort of leave the space that's going to be there eventually.
So like acapellas, I download those. I've started just like putting in the acapella and then muting it and then referencing it, like turning it back on to make sure. So like let's say someone wants like a Lil Baby type sample or something, or like like something in that range or like that cadence. I'll pull up like a good Lil Baby song, get the acapella. There's like free websites where you can decently extract the vocals only with AI.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know about that.
There's some actually. It's like mind blowing sometimes how like crisp it is. But so you can put that in. You can change the key of it maybe a little bit, but then just build the whole sample around that. And you can also there's tons of like drum packs with a few drum loops in there too, so you can just put like an MP3 drum loop in place. So you don't really have to like program your own drums. And what I've started doing too is just bouncing out only the drums, like no bass line, no melody, but just like 16 to 32 bars of the drums from another beat, and then just saving that file. So like next time I'm making something in that tempo, I can just pull it in, make sure it fits the bounce, or like, you know what I mean? Like 20 seconds, you can check if it's like, if you're not in your head to it, right? Like that's important.
Cool. Those are really good techniques. The
acapella one's huge. I've seen a lot of people do that because it tells you exactly where the vocal's going to be, right?
Okay, I'm going to do something unprecedented, but we're just going to keep this rolling, and I'll have to go tell the guys downstairs to close the door.
Okay.
Just hang out for a
Sure.
Hello.
You think the mic was picking it up?
No, it's just distracting me.
Oh yeah,
I can't.
totally.
It's actually in our new Studio C.
Oh yeah.
Right across the way.
How hard would it be to like isolate that?
Yeah, well, we got to work on. There's still so much to work on.
I think there will be some leaking, like no matter what.
Yeah.
Especially with the HS8s, those things just have so much bass.
Yeah. Yeah, they go down pretty low, down to like 50.
Yeah.
So where were we? Yeah, talking about
Like acapellas and like
sampling and acapellas and stuff like that.
building
yeah.
around the vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think by the time this comes out, it's going to be like a lot of the J-Mon stuff that we're working on together is going to be out, so it's going to be okay for us to bring it up. And I'm really curious about how you're going about a lot of the production you're doing for J-Mon stuff. For people who don't know, J-Mon is a very, very talented up-and-coming artist here in Vancouver. And a lot of, his stuff is coming through 2-Track here, and AK and I are both lucky enough to be involved in working on it. And what we usually do is we get the beat, and J-Mon does his thing and makes the song, gets the vibe going, buys the stems, sends it to me. I do like a pretty 80% mix, and then we send it over to AK, and AK is kind of like the secret. You've been the secret weapon for J-Mon for the last, like, since Hollow, really. So the whole new J-Mon, since he cut the braids off and he's now like this pop star, he's transitioned so seamlessly, so effortlessly. All the stuff from this new year is kind of, I feel like you've touched almost all of these records, haven't you?
Yeah, they've passed through my hands.
Yeah.
Normally, sometimes I barely add anything, and he's also had the homie Dino help out on, like, especially on Bullet. He snapped. That was all the guitar on there was him. Like, I barely did anything
That's right.
with Bullet.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's crazy with it. He did like some solos in the middle. But yeah, like, I don't know. My approach to every J-Mon track is just completely different. Usually it's like J-Mon will give me like the vaguest of like references or like just inspiration he has. Like, usually I ask him like, yo, send me the song that inspired this, because it's usually how he starts songs too. Like, I've noticed he'll like Bullet was like just some old ass like punk song type thing, right?
That's the perfect description.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a popular one. Like, you reckon, I think it's let's go, that one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So he had that kind of vibe for it. So we went like, okay, let's just do like distortion, like high gain electric guitars, and then that's all we did. And I think I added like a reverse cymbal, like a riser. I didn't do that much. Hollow was a different story. That one I was kind of wanted to use more like chords and stuff to just accompany like the left and right side, but it's generally just like trying to think about the little details. So I like the last bar of every 8, there's like something to lead into the next one, and
right?
Then like a little drum fill here and there when you wanted to hit it like
Little
an extra
transition
a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the last 16, like the outro, just introduce something they haven't heard before the whole
Right.
song, right?
Yeah.
Usually around like a minute and a half. If something completely brand new comes in, it's refreshing, gives it another kind of 45 seconds for the listener to like take it in again. Because if it's hook verse hook and the next hook doesn't have like anything new, you kind of lose interest in it. So I try and take that into consideration when I'm producing.
That's a
right?
huge point that you made there about the hooks. I'm not opposed to copy pasting the first hook to the second hook, but then on the third, we'll copy paste it even to the third sometimes, but add a new layer, or
Exactly,
but
yeah.
add one other thing,
It's gotta
more
be
ad
like
libs,
that. It's gotta
because
be
it's
like
like, okay, I've heard this twice already. Now, you know. So yeah, you've totally got the philosophy figured out. It sounds like you've got, you know, considering the listener, keeping the song interesting the whole way through, right?
Yeah.
Adding little moments, and that's what I've noticed that you're so good at is just, you know, when you're not doing these full productions, you're just kind of adding to it. You're really delicate in like how much you do add, and it seems to always fit so nicely. Like it's just a little garnish. It's not
usually it's
overpowering what's already there.
You don't have to be crazy with the melodies. It just has to be like a counter melody, like a B, like a more of a rhythmic thingy almost, right? Like just like
dance.
On the off beats that are missing a little bit of impact, you can add a little bell noise or like a synth stab, like a pluck. I don't know. The production choices with like sound selection is just me going through presets, and then I'm like, oh, this would be sick with a lot of reverb, or like print it, reverse it. It's just really random the way I work, but then I don't stop until it sounds complete, right? Like if you kind of walked in like mid-session and I was working on something, there'd be a lot of like just like stuff that didn't make any sense. But I don't like when it's finished. But up until that point, it's a mess. That's kind of how my work.
Well, it's trying a lot of things, right? Like
it's just a lot of experimentation and like half mixed ideas, and then usually like I'll do a lot of reprocessing, especially when I'm making samples. Like I'll print it, pitch it down an octave, reverse it, print it, and then like put a reverb, print, like, you know, like just very kind of iterative until it's something I like, or I try a few things, it doesn't work, right? I just can it.
Yeah. I'm picturing like a work desk, and there's just, you know, wood shavings all over, or paper strewn all over,
exactly.
or and a painter with like 50 different paintbrushes and colors, and you're just you're sketching shit.
Yeah.
But then in the end, it's the stuff that's doesn't work, it's thrown out, and you get left with. But that's with anything, man. You got to refine it down. You know, it's easy to have tons of ideas, but it's like choosing the right ones that's really the art of it.
Music's like that. Yeah, tends to be that way. Like if you search up someone's leaked songs or like unfinished songs, it's just like you'd be surprised how like shitty they sound, right? But then like it's like the engineer touched it, 2 songwriters looked at it, said, you know, we should redo these harmonies here, and then maybe rewrite this word so you use one less syllable. Like it's these little things where like the team really gets involved, and then the engineer blesses the track. Like if you hear a leak and it's just the producer and the artist, usually the mix is god awful, right? The 808's like clipping and the vocals distorting. I don't know, some people like that though. It's so, I don't know, like you hear that new the Trippie Redd song, like the one he teased forever, Mr. Rage.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Like like that snippet blew up, but they released it pretty much like how it sounded in the snippet, like the 808's just cranked. And then, well, I don't know, people love it. That's the problem, people don't care. So like you could put all this effort into a track, and like people won't even notice those little things you added. Or they don't even understand,
but understand that it's terrible. That it's terribly engineered or something like that. A little on topic, a little tangent, but I on that note, one of my favorite artists from the 2000s, Lloyd Banks, who was like a really popular rapper who was in G Unit, put out an album, brand new album, 2021, and I was just on the previous podcast talking about how I go back to those records in the 2000s and reference how well they were recorded, mixed using analog equipment, expensive studios. Like some of those hip hop records from the 2000s have yet to be matched.
Especially
today.
Dre. That's the one for me.
Totally. The Dre stuff, the Nas's stuff sounds amazing. Some of the earlier Jay-Z stuff, like the 2000s. Anyhow. The Eminem stuff, the G Unit stuff. So I go back and I listen to that as like, that's my gold standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this new Lloyd Banks record comes out, and I was like, my brain couldn't figure out like, am I missing something here? Like it just sounded like he either phoned his verse in from jail through the phone, or they recorded it straight off the iPhone as a voice memo and used that as the lead. And I was like, okay, no, it's just the intro. Like song 2 will
the
be,
whole thing
song
was like
2
that?
will be like, and it was like song 2 was worse than that. And
Oh.
song 3, and then I only got through like 6 songs where I was just like, I can't take this anymore. Like one of my favorite rappers, they've just ruined.
Did you search up the engineer?
It's really hard to find engineers,
Really?
even on top artists nowadays. But
Interesting.
he's not a top artist anymore. So I'm going to like look that up.
Send him an email, complain.
But heartbroken, man, because I devote my whole life to getting
Yeah,
good sounds,
yeah,
what I
yeah.
think are good sounds, and then you hear that, and you're just like I mean, and I can hear like the room, like he was in his kitchen, like or some like it's everything
Yeah,
about it is
yeah.
wrong. Like it sounds like a 13-year-old who just bought their first Scarlett and turned the gain up all the way, recorded his vocal.
Yeah.
So, but I see that there's multiple examples of that nowadays more and more often with like
Definitely.
top artists. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it hurts, right? Because this is a whole industry, a whole art form, a whole craft to try and avoid that. Like my job is to try and avoid that stuff. So
Well, there's a lot of dollar store mixes for sure.
hurts, dude.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I had a thought. I completely lost track of what I was trying to say. That's okay.
But yeah, so that's kind of the world we live in right now. With, and I don't know what the answer is. Is it because like, I mean, of course he can afford a better engineer. Of course he's connected. Of course, like, but it's like, why was that okay? It got through him, his manager, it got through all these people that okayed that.
I think the problem is like everyone just listens to music at max volume. You don't hear the actual like you don't hear the details that stick out too much until you turn it down. Or like I'm sure if you turn those vocals down really low, it would just sound really thin or something, right? Like
that's a good point. I've actually asked a handful of people that question. How loud, like as just like a little, like I'm walking down the street with a camera and a microphone and just, and one of those shows, and they ask strangers on the sidewalk. But I do that when, people come through the studio, just randomly ask Jamon, ask Natasha, Moses, how loud do you guys listen to music? Like if you have AirPods in, and the answers I got were full blast or one notch below full blast.
Really? I'm like 70% usually, 60 to 70.
Yeah, me too.
I'm scared.
I'm on the quieter side.
I'm scared of
always.
hurting my ears.
But that's because you and I are engineers and producers, and but for the average consumer, I think you're right. It's like there's this tendency to just, oh fuck yeah, crank it. I want to hear that.
Dude, the worst is when like I have homies with like subs in their car. The sub's already loud, right? And then they go on the
EQ,
the car EQ,
and crank it more.
Like yeah.
And all you hear is like the
It's like
door
brrr,
mirrors rattling.
Yeah,
like,
everything's shaking, and they're like, "This is sick."
This is sick, bro.
I don't know, man. You
Yeah,
can't-
and then so it's like none of the vocal mixing at that point matters.
no, you don't
like,
care about
No.
like the de-esser,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like, oh, where did they high pass that vocal?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
none of that.
Does
Out the
not
window.
matter.
Does not matter. Oh, that new saturation plug-in, bro. That sounds sick. Nope. Out the window. So, yeah, it's funny, man. I don't know.
So it's because half these A&Rs are just like getting stoned and like, yeah, this slaps.
Yeah,
I
don't know the answer. I'm determined to find out though, because
Did you listen to the new J. Cole?
that sounded awesome.
You liked it?
Yeah,
I think the vocal was mixed pretty dirty though. Like there's a lot of like something about the characteristic. Maybe it's just like how raspy his voice is.
yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with you that it has a character, but I also was like, okay, this sounds to me like
I liked it.
this sounds professional,
Yeah,
at
definitely.
least. And those were like creative decisions that they made, as
Totally.
opposed to not knowing better or
Yeah.
ignorance.
I haven't heard the Lloyd Banks stuff, so I don't know like
Yeah.
what your like definition of that is, but
Yeah.
I'll give it a listen after. I'm
Yeah, a
curious.
couple of them, or even just get through one, and you'll hear see what I'm on about. But
Well, the instrumentals, are they good, or is it just the vocals you're complaining about?
the instrumentals didn't like. Here's the thing: it's more hip hop than trap, right? Like, so it's like it's just kick and snare. There wasn't like a ton of low end. Like, it's not like trap now is just so low end heavy. It's just
It's
like
808s
some
on
of those
808s.
the baby records. Like the 808 is the whole mix, and the vocal
Yeah.
and the clap are like 20%. You know, or that new Migos record. What's it called? Their new single starts with a S. Straightening.
Yeah.
That is insane. It's just all low end. It's just even on my nice Genelex, which I listened to and mix on, I was like, really? This is the song? So low end heavy, but more traditional hip hop is like boom bap, is like kick and snare and like a bass line maybe, or like not as heavy. So it's more that, but still I wasn't like, this isn't hitting hard. Like I want to hear, as like an aspiring engineer, I want to hear stuff where I'm like, okay, in 5-10 years I'll be that good, or like I want to totally. You know, when I hear like Manny and Jason Joshua and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, like one day I'll be at that level. Like I want to be impressed. I don't want to be like, okay, Denton and I could have mixed that better in our sleep, dude. Like I don't want that.
Totally. That's the word. It's like put me in, coach, put me in. Yeah.
But yeah, I got to get off this tangent because
it's a passionate topic.
Yeah, I get passionate.
Of course.
I like to, people who listen to this know I like to rant quite a bit. But this is the things that we deal with in the industry. There's all kinds of, everyone's got struggles and things that in their respective fields that bug them, and this is where we shed light on this is what Demo to Limo is, man. We're shedding light on the inner workings of the music industry and the background. It's not like, this isn't breakfast TV, dude. We're like we're getting down to the nitty gritty and talking about the inner workings of this shit, you know. So it's okay. So what's bothering you these days about music?
Man, I don't know. It's just like, one thing I've noticed, especially, there's a lot of like young kids who are trying to make like make something happen really quick instead of like, I don't know, just a lot of like surface level stuff. You know, like there's a lot of people making samples and loops, but they have no idea what they're doing. You know, like I said, they're doing like those chords that are just clicked in. They don't change the velocity. They don't play anything out.
Oh, the MIDI chord packs and stuff.
Like they think it's like an easy way to get a placement or like work on a record. And I'm sure there's people that have seen success, but it's like, are you doing it for the placement or for like the art form, or for like, right? Like
what are your motives?
For me, it's a lot of it's like, how like, am I challenging myself? Am I like trying to do something that I'm really passionate about, or am I just like trying to make something that I want Lil Baby on?
Yeah,
you know, or like, I don't know, just like some people have their kind of intentions in the wrong places, but
I hear you, and a lot of people are going to like almost win a lottery ticket, almost like just jump all these years of experience and maybe have some overnight success quickly.
Yeah, a lot of people have those
happen.
expectations, like pretty much.
So for somebody with a musical background and, you know, who takes this shit seriously, you see that and you feel like it's cheating a little bit. It's a little bit it's greasy. I'm not gonna lie with you. Like it is, man. I mean, those ads pop up constantly on my YouTube, like
another
that
thing,
MIDI chord pack one, or
there's
a few of them.
The MIDI chord packs, they're not that bad. It's what you do with them, kind of that. Like some people barely touch them, you know, like barely play with them, barely like build on them. They're just.
But
like
I think that's
chords.
how they're marketing it, and I think that's the problem
true.
that I see with it is like, look how easy it is. Just
they want to sell the chord pack.
It's like a coloring book at that point, instead of, you know, learning how to use a paintbrush.
That's kind of leads into another problem. This is like, no one really cares about the originality or like staying true to like what you like. It's like, oh, this sounds like I've said Lil Baby, but like this sounds like Lil TJ stuff. I'm gonna make a loop exactly like what I've already heard Lil TJ hop on and send it to like whoever, so I get this exact same beat that's like replaceable. Like there's so many replaceable beats and loops.
I see.
And for me, it's like, I want to sound different every time. I want to challenge myself. I want to make something new.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But then again, that also conflicts with like, when you're in a session, you want to make something the artist's gonna like. If I'm in a session with Lil TJ, I'm gonna probably play some like piano chord, something smooth and like maybe a little bit like dark, like, you know, I'm gonna stay in there in that realm, but I still I'd still want to like have my own flavor to it instead of just like only knowing exactly what's been done already, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like quick like pump and dumps, like, you know, like in right, like they do it in crypto, but they do it in music too. Like these albums, they'll drop like 20 songs, drop 5 more on a deluxe, and all the songs sound the same, and they all sound like the last album. You know, and it's like all the beats are like, none of it's innovative. And and then the label stops marketing it, and they just forget about it.
Yeah, just a lot of noise.
Yeah,
right?
I'd rather like do you listen to Tyler's new shit?
I did listen to a couple of songs
like that
off
shit's
of that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like the replay value on that versus like even the new Migos album, I wasn't like it was what I expected, you know what I mean? Like it
Absolutely.
was, right? But
Yeah,
like
it's more
Tyler
the same.
reinvented himself like 4 times already.
Yeah.
You know, and I respect that way more. But that's taste. Some people listen to Lil Baby back to back to back to back to back, and they don't get tired.
That's funny because you're not the first person to bring up Lil Baby or, you know, as like a every song sounds the same type of thing, and I feel
because he's just like totally in
he's
that
got a
one
formula,
pocket.
and it's just kind of riding it so hard.
It's the hit pocket. He's in the hit pocket. He knows what he's doing, and he can replicate it.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him for that because he's getting rich, and like the label's getting paid. He's doing selling out shows. Like everyone's bumping his music. It's working, but I'm not sure how much like. I feel like he cares about the creative vision, but not as much as someone like Tyler. You know, who's like, I want to like take you to a whole different universe every time I drop an album. It's less about like the numbers for me. It's more about like what I see this whole thing playing out as, right? And I don't know. It's just like how I am creatively. I respect that type of stuff way more.
110. Yeah. No, I really do see Tyler as like a true artist as
Same
well.
with Kanye.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Kanye and Tyler's like approach to music. Even if it's not directly inspired, they're like in the same kind of space, like creatively. Like those two guys are on the same playing field, like Lil Baby and Lil Durk, and like, you know, they're all in a different game.
Yeah. Who was another guy that impressed me so much recently? I'm just gonna fire up iTunes really quickly, just because it's right behind me. Because it's rare when I'll go to like the rap, Apple Music, like Rap Now or Rap Today, whatever the playlists, right, and hear something that's like, oh, I haven't heard this.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm looking for. Vince Staples, yeah,
dude,
Kenny,
that guy's got a new sound, man.
Yeah, Kenny
Very
Beats
unique.
did his thing on that, like
the mixing,
of course,
the feeling, where the vocals placed in the mix, all of it. I was like, this is new, this is exciting.
It's Alex Toomey, man.
Yeah.
Alex Toomey's a goat. He did like all of Travis's and like Thugger's shit.
Oh, I didn't realize he's working with Vince Staples.
He works with Kenny a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure he mixed all that. Snow Allegra too. That the girl on there.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that.
That's a crazy project too. Tyler's on a couple of those.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, there's hope out there.
Oh yeah.
There's lots of good shit, but it's just the nature of like the internet now, and how like I said, if you own a laptop, you're automatically an engineer, and you can make YouTube tutorials about stuff that you don't really understand. Results in a lot of, you know, murky water to swim through
it's just
to
like,
get to the good stuff.
There's a lot of people who think it's just like results oriented versus like the process of it. Like I care more about like the like trying to innovate every time, trying to like do a technique I haven't done before versus like what people are gonna think or like what I want it to sound like. I don't know. I don't really care about what it's gonna sound like in the end. I care about like, whoa, that sounded cool. Let me see if I can do that with this sound. I don't know.
Oh, I hear you.
Right? Yeah.
110. So share it. Yo. Do you guys think you can keep it down at like one notch? One notch.
It's all good. Yeah.
Some people just have exceptionally loud voices. Woo! Yeah, where were we? Alex Toomey, Vince Staples.
Just like fresh sounds.
Fresh sounds.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing too lately. Like, I just stopped listening to like Rap Caviar type stuff, or like, I guess you're on iTunes, but on Spotify, like the main rap playlist, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll just like search up like 60s surf rock, or like something really random like 90s R&B.
Dope.
And just like listen to whatever playlist I shows up on the search results, and try and find new music to just like broaden my palette. So
that's really cool.
And then like I'll think about like what stood out to me in the first 20 seconds, like what's the thing that like caught my ear, if I decide to skip or not. Like if I don't skip, to something I liked about it, and I try and like figure out what that
you're
is,
really
right?
analyzing it, eh?
That's kind of how my brain works too, right? Like I'm like very like break things down and put them back together type of guy, especially like because I'm like computer science, math kind of background.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like my job is to kind of know how every little bit works. So I just automatically do that. Like since I've started making beats, I listen to music completely differently. I'm sure you can say the same.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're thinking about the behind the scenes instead of just like, that's why people turn their subs up. They don't care. They don't know what the hell is going on back there, but we do, and we like appreciate.
That's the complete opposite. You're
mix.
Totally right. Yeah. I have to force myself to listen to music for pleasure, which might sound totally crazy, but I'm so caught up in this engineering world and this mixing world and analyzing stuff that the second a song comes on, I'm like, oh, what? I can hear the 4K on that guitar. Like that's what my brain does instantly.
For real.
And so if a song comes on, no matter where I am, if I'm in the back of a cab or if it's in the ceiling, those little shitty ceiling speakers in the mall or the grocery store, like no matter where I am, I'm like, oh, I can hear the reverb on that. Like,
that's like
never sleeps. My brain's just constantly picking these things apart, right?
It's like those dudes with perfect pitch who just like hear a door squeak and they're like, C sharp.
I haven't heard about those people, but I'm sure they exist. Yeah,
it's like, it was like 50 cents out of tune from C sharp. It's like
hilarious.
In between two notes, and they just get irritated because they know
hilarious.
They know like other people don't know it's door squeak.
Yeah,
that's the thing though. Like sometimes knowing too much is a bad thing.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a curse. It's a burden, actually.
Yeah,
it's like
just got to know how to work within it.
Yeah, when I was in school in the UK, there was a girl in one of my classes who could like just hear a note or a chord or a song and just like say the key of it right away.
Perfect pitch.
And I thought that was so impressive. And yeah, I mean, what a cool skill to have. But also,
the thing is like if everyone knows, they're like, oh, what note is this? And they play a key, and they're just like always trying to call it out, and you get tired of it, I bet. Like Charlie Puth, he has perfect pitch, and like every interviewer will like, oh, so you have perfect pitch.
That's the first thing they ask him.
Yeah, and then it'll come around to it at some point, and they'll get him to like guess notes, and he already obviously knows every single time what note they're playing. Like they'll play some shit on the keyboard. Yeah. Like it's like some revolutionary talent.
I wonder if he gets annoyed by that.
I'm sure he's so annoyed of it.
Yeah. Yeah, geez, ask me something else. So similar to what you're doing with, going on different playlists from decades and listening and kind of doing some homework and stuff. A thing that I started doing recently was it's ambitious and it's going to take me a while, but I went to the Rolling Stones magazine. Has every like decade they put out a new 500 greatest albums of all time list. Okay. And they just put one out a year ago. And I was like, you know what, man, there's like so many classic albums of different genres and that you hear about but I've never heard, and I want to do my homework to go through this list and strengthen my producer brain a little bit, strengthen my songwriting brain a little bit, because a tremendous amount of what I do in the studio is not just record in Pro Tools, but I'm coaching a lot of these young artists.
For sure.
That don't even that don't understand song structure at all.
It's all songwriting. Like the songwriter is the key to the session.
Yeah. That's the blueprint. We can't really start unless we've got that figured out. Like, what are we doing? So,
they lay down like 6 bars out of 8, and it's like,
they can't count bars. and I don't. I've brought this up so many times, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But you know what I'm talking about, and it's a real head scratcher because yeah, I mean when I very first picked up mics, you know, when I began this journey that I'm on now, and I was 12, 13 years old, and my cousin and I are just, you know, going on LimeWire, Kazaa, and ripping, you know, famous beats and then rapping over them.
Yeah.
We were imitating songs that we knew, and we knew
the structure.
That's the, like, we knew before we even started, there's got to be a chorus here, and that's how, and then there's a verse, and then there's another chorus. I mean, it's like, this is the door, this is where the key goes in, this is the steering wheel. I mean, it's like, to me, it was a no-brainer. But
yeah,
I would say, like, far more often than not, young artists don't appreciate that or don't understand it at all. So I'm coaching and educating and trying to give constructive feedback and helping them along. And so I'm going on this 500 greatest albums journey with the Rolling Stones, the Rolling Stones editors put together. And I've been really pleasantly surprised so far. I'm like 15 albums in now.
Nice. And
there's been some really cool shit. And you know, all decades, all genres, and it's been really cool, man, because a lot of the stuff that I didn't think I was gonna like, based on just, you know, ignorant stuff like the album cover or the name of the album cover or the band, I ended up, I'm just trying to go totally open-minded and learn, and I ended up like really fucking with the ones that I didn't think I was gonna like. So,
which ones did you listen to?
Oh, some of the standout ones have been like, actually, one of the more recent ones was the Harry Styles' last album, which was in 2019. That one with Watermelon Sugar, and
I don't think I've ever listened to a
Just
Styles
Let
song.
Me Adore You. Like that album was insane. Like just a perfect album is what I would call it. It's a perfect album. It's like pop rock, you know, but just, oh my God. Just,
I'm sure it's like all the same songwriters behind it though, because there's no way he's writing all the harmonies by himself and like all the, it's like,
oh no, I mean, you Wikipedia that shit and there's armies of people working on it, right? Yeah. And they got Mark Stent to mix it, who's like one of the top mixers in the world, you know? So it's like, they ticked off all the boxes with that album, and I was like, "Wow, this is so well done, man." You
shouldn't not go number one with an album like that.
Or like, there's no excuses.
Yeah, especially with the label like budget and everything. Like, the plan is to exceed that.
Oh, absolutely,
in every category.
Absolutely, yeah. So that one, why can't I remember? It might be self-titled, but anyhow, everyone will recognize it. He's got that pink shirt on the front of it. Really, really good. Another one, totally different style, was B.B. King, the famous like blues guitarist.
Right.
He did a live album in a prison, like the outdoor area where the prisoners get to go and like work out and play basketball, and they set up a stage there, and it was like 1950s or 60s. But you can like hear the concrete reverb. Yeah. And he's like outdoors, and you can hear it like, it's just got like and it's in front of these prisoners, and like you can hear them like cheering and booing, and like a woman comes up on stage, and then they all like boo her, and it's like, it's dark, dude. It's like, you know,
I'm gonna listen to that.
But unbelievable, like goosebumps all over shit when he's singing and playing the guitar. You're just like, this is a person possessed. Like, this is one of the all-time greats, and you're just like, I'm so glad I got a chance to check that out.
Yeah.
So that was another really dope one, and
I really like John Mayer's live album.
Oh yeah, which one's that?
He played it. It's like something live in LA. I forget the name, but he's got some, like, the shit he does with just an acoustic guitar is crazy.
Yeah, no, he's a wizard. Yeah, live albums are cool, right? Because it's all one take.
Yeah, it's one take, and he's singing while he's like, search up Neon live.
I'm sure. Yeah, right.
And he's doing like this complex rhythm, and he's doing like the hand drum in the whole song, and it's just him. Usually he has like an accompanying band with like the drummer, the bassist, and you can kind of focus on the main lead that he has to do. But with the acoustic guitar, when he does it live, it's just a whole different story. Yeah, it's almost better, probably better than the original to me. Just
well, yeah. I mean, that's another thing that I like to try and impart on people when they come through, is like, the more vibe and feeling you can get in the booth, the better. Like if you can make this a performance as opposed to do your verse in 18 takes, everyone's going to appreciate that. People are going to respond. There's a human nature there's a human nature in music where we're part of it is we're just capturing feelings.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And when you're doing a live set, you're in the zone, dude. There's no like, oh, can we take that again? Or like, oh, I'm not going to give it my all because I'll be able to punch in after. It's like, no. We're capturing something timeless in the moment right now and then recording it and then keeping it. And like, that's special, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, there's no plug-in for like emotion. There's no like, you know.
That's one of the things that brings me back to kind of another, it's kind of a tangent, but it's kind of the same, like these people with very little experience, like in terms of music theory and like playing things naturally. Like they'll make something that doesn't really have any like musical sense, like doesn't make musical sense, you know what I mean? Like if you pick some random sound and you're making like this loop, but then no one can play it out on a piano or like just like perform it live, like it's never gonna be a hit. You know what I mean? Like have you listened to like I'm sure you listen to Harry Styles, like all those melodies you can play on a piano and you can remember like after hearing it once.
You whistle them or whatever.
Exactly, right? Like
it's
like that's what songwriting is, like making these like nursery rhyme melodies, but they're like they just like stick in your head and you can't take them out. I don't know. Some people just don't have an understanding of that, and so their melodies are like they're just random. You know, there's no like build up to this moment and then it kind of takes a little unexpected turn and resolves. Like that's what I've been studying a lot, and like all these people that are trying to take shortcuts, they just don't have that in their repertoire.
It's a journey. When you're talking how you just described that is really a journey, right? Like creating dynamics and taking the person on a journey. I used like a really crude kind of metaphor once about like when you're like, because this guy's verse and his intro and his hook and his outro was just all one flow, right? Like the whole song. And like think about when you're like making love to a woman, are you just gonna like, is it just that one speed and that one position the entire time? Like she's not gonna call you back. Like you've got to make it interesting. You got to speed up, you got to slow down, you got to take me on a journey, you got to move here. It's like it's got to be dynamic. There's got to be some movement and feeling, and if it's just like literally like the whole song is just this monotone flow all the way through, like that's boring. That's boring, man. There's nothing. There's no feeling in that. So and you know that that particular example resonated with that individual, like, and so like that really got through to them. But that's how I like to think about it. Or a dance, you know, you go to the club, they're not going to play one feeling or one tempo song the whole night. The DJ's going to mix it up a bit, you know,
unless it's like Ibiza and everyone's on drugs and
it's just 16 hours of
it's just like 140 like the trance. You got to know your audience too. It's a whole different point.
Oh God, really considering the audience, considering the listener. That's such a big thing, man. Because you know, it's one thing to make music for yourself or make it for your own reasons, if it's therapy for you, and I respect that and I get that. But if you're gonna try and make something with this and get an audience, get people to respond to it, you know, get it to go places, you've got to consider like the other side. You've got to consider, where's this going to go? Where's this going to be listened to? What type of season am I going to release this album in? Like all those things really like have a huge factor. You know, you got to take those into consideration.
That's where I'm not the best. I just enjoy the process. Like I'll more often than not just make something for myself, right? Like I mentioned earlier, and then I'll realize, okay, an artist can't really hear anything on this because it's too like sound designy, or like you know, it's like I was trying, or like sometimes I'm like challenging myself. I'm trying to come up with like a more like complex chord progression, right? And it's like kind of walking the line where it's like more jazz chords and you know what I mean? And like no hit pop song has ever used a like jazz progression. Because jazz is about the keys and like the guitar solo, right? Or like the guitar lead, where it's like you're walking through 4 different keys and it sounds good. It's like it's all like kind of flexy, right? But like it's not like average listener radio friendly.
Pop radio friendly is very digestible, right? It's very easy.
You kind of almost know. And then what you do is like a minute 45 in, the part where they think they know what's coming, you switch it up a little bit, and that's like what gets them to listen to it again. And
that's the M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Exactly.
Where you throw that in there. They weren't expecting it. Whoa. Or what's become popular in the last, 6-7 years is like a complete beat switch for a song.
I like that.
Or like sicko mode is like
3 beats,
30 seconds of one thing, and then nope, that's not the song, and then it's this song, and it's this, but like effortlessly, right? And it's 3 songs in one. So that's, you're seeing a lot more of that too, which is like not just a chord change, but like a total different thing.
No, I like that though. I've done tempo changes in songs too. It's really dope. Yeah, like the first song on that album, on Astroworld, like Stargazing, the first time I ever heard it, I thought it switched to the next song when the beat, I don't know if you've heard it, the beat switch comes in. Like, and it's like, but like...
And then you're looking at your phone and you're like, oh, this is not track
song.
2 yet.
and then I went and watched it at the show. I'm like, I know exactly why he did it, because he's like, there's like this whole like 20-second bridge where it's just like, you don't know what's coming next, and then beat cut, 2 seconds of silence, and then next beat, just like 20 BPM faster. And a lot of these artists are show oriented now too, which is a good thing.
So you think they're actually creating the song with the live show in mind?
I think so, totally.
Later.
Like, especially like Playboi Carti, like his new album, I didn't really like it as like a casual listen, but I'm sure some of those beats will like slap at a show. Like it'll be mosh pits left and right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's his whole kind of thing. Like his performances, everyone loves him because he's just raging. There's no other way to put it. And you can tell he's making the song for that kind of circumstance.
Yeah. They're thinking well ahead, right?
Totally.
And considering the audience, like, which we keep coming back to.
It's just hard to take in when there's no shows sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, trying to drop something during COVID and no one can go out to a club and hear your song and like really appreciate it for that, the setting it was supposed to be played in, can be difficult. It just makes your job a little bit harder. But if it's timeless music, I think like you got nothing to worry about. Yeah. It'll come around.
Yeah, now we're starting to see, I mean, music was still coming out throughout 2020, but we're, 2021's going to be an interesting year, because it's like, we just had such an unprecedented worldwide event, and I'm wondering, it makes me wonder like how is that going to change music forever? Is that going to change like people's approach? Like what's going to be different from this? Like, throwing a monkey wrench into the whole thing, and we're starting to see some of it now. It's cool. It's like a lot of artists that forced to be more isolated than normal, and like what kind of results came from that? Like
so many artists and producers signed deals with Twitch TV. And started streaming. Yeah, like T Grizzly plays GTA like for like 8,000 fans like every night. And like producers just cooking up on Twitch now, and they're getting donations. Kenny Beats gets like thousands of viewers. Beat Battles every Monday is giving away sponsorship prizes from this audio company. Like Twitch really kind of like, they were a gaming thing, but it just translated to so much more than that because of COVID, I think. Same with Zoom, right? Like Zoom changed, or like it saved the world. Like everyone could work remotely because of Zoom. I think Twitch kind of did that for music.
It's interesting, like these ideas that start out as one thing actually have so much potential to become so much more. It makes me think about Amazon. Just started out, they started off just selling books.
That's the thing about tech. Now
look at them.
Like Airbnb was like the small little subsection of Craigslist, but they blew it up to its own app company, $1 billion industry, right? Like vacation rentals are like
totally exactly. Now it's like a mainstream thing. So
now it's like, I've also noticed that everyone in music wants a part of tech, and like everyone in tech thinks music is really cool. Like that's from my perspective. Like everyone wants to, like, especially when they had that NFT buzz, like everyone was like trying to make their own coin, their own NFT, virtual products. I don't know, it was weird. It's short-lived though. Like a lot of these people were making these NFT products that just had no value. But I mean, if you sell it, you get that money. No one's gonna doesn't matter. It's not your possession anymore. This is so weird though. Like the world moves really fast nowadays.
Yes, it does.
You know?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, man. Yep. And it's so easy to, get into new things very quickly and just jump on these different bandwagons.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A lot of people hop onto something really quick, think they know what they're doing, and then they're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think everyone's guilty of that, though. You can't.
Yeah. What else did I want to ask you about? I'm gonna go back to Jamon for a second because, you talked about how you picked up the guitar again. You used to play guitar. Obviously, you're using samples. You're creating your own packs and things like that. But how much of the stuff that I've heard from you is actually you on the guitar throwing down on any of the Jamon stuff?
On Jamon stuff, like minimal.
Okay,
minimal.
but
yeah,
some?
like I've more so added like synths and bells and stuff, because a lot of the time it's just like a dun 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 dun, like it's already like guitar heavy, right?
I'm thinking about
other things.
TMW and
I added some reverb leads on TMW.
That's actually you then.
Yeah,
on the guitar.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice.
And then Dino's on Bullet.
Right.
Yeah.
Dope.
Oh yeah. Even then, sometimes it was like more of a lead thing, like it's more of a lead thing, less of a just accompaniment thing. So I was still learning how to do it, but you mixed it in well, so it wasn't even noticeable.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite producers?
So like Metro and Southside were like the first two trap producers that I kind of looked up to, because of Future and Drake.
Yeah.
Back in that.
Yeah, like you were saying.
Back when I got into it. And then kind of around the same time, I started liking Travis Scott's stuff, and then discovered Wonder Girl. And then at the same time, it was like Drake, like 40, Boy Wonder, and like Seven Thomas. And I didn't even know who these producers were, like at the time, but I was loving their beats. You know what I mean? And then only recently I started figuring out like, oh, this man produced this song and this song and this song.
Yes.
And then it's like, damn, yeah, it's kind of mind blowing. But yeah, so I just said a bunch of names. Wonder Girl, Seven Thomas, he's super fire. He did one of the recent ones on the Snow Allegra album.
Okay.
It's a really dope beat. Yeah, Wonder Girl's crazy. She's been on everyone's shit. Mike Dean too.
Yeah.
Mike Dean, that guy.
Yeah.
I look up to that guy a lot.
Mixer too.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing mixer.
I've read mixed opinions about his mixes though, but he does them really loud, and I really like him. I don't know. Who else? Kanye. I think Kanye influenced like everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dre too. Dre's just like the OG. That guy, like his beats there's something about him that's just so crisp. You know. And like drum selection's always perfect. The snare drum's like
so
the
cracking.
right one. Like you couldn't think of a better one. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Like I listened to Chronic 2001 not that long ago, and I swear, man, some of those songs could come out 2021 and like
it'd be slaps. Yeah,
it's insane how timeless and ahead of its time that album was.
Yeah.
It really is remarkable.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and then all the just all the sickest features, you know.
Yeah. That era was, I don't know. It's completely different.
All the stars aligned
world.
for that project, man. I'm telling you.
Do you watch the Defiant Ones on Netflix?
I'm ashamed to say I still have not seen it.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many people have recommended that to me.
It's super fire. It just shows you how Jimmy Iovine and Dre basically built all this shit, and then they picked up Eminem, and like Dre like basically threw everything on the line for Eminem, and they made like My Name Is what is it? I don't even know what that song's called. You know, like, my name is what? My name is Chicka Chicka Slim Shady. Right?
Oh, the real Slim Shady.
Yeah, no, that's a different song.
No. Sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, I can't remember.
You know which one I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah. We can sing the hook.
Maybe it's called My Name Is.
It probably is, yeah.
So yeah, like it shows like that was the first song they ever made in the studio together.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first beat he showed him.
and just murdered it and made a timeless classic.
Yeah, Slim Shady. Yeah. So yeah, Eminem's another one of my, I guess he's not a producer, but like one of my first like rap artists that I listened to. Like Not Afraid, fucking Till I Collapse. Do you ever play Call of Duty?
A little bit, like a tiny bit.
Modern Warfare 2, that game, they had a trailer with an Eminem song in it, Till I Collapse, the one with Nate Dogg. Yeah, that was like, the song is fire. And then that was like everybody's pump up song in like the hockey dressing room and shit too. So
oh really?
Yeah, so a lot of like my early rap influence was like pump up songs in sports settings. Yeah.
The ones that are getting the real human reaction. You're seeing like a physical response. You're seeing people that don't know anything about music, but they're captivated. They're just totally. It's magic, right? It's just
like Lil Wayne too. Like which ones did he have? Drop the World and like No Love, and they all had that song together. Like Young Money, like
oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Forever.
Yeah, with Drake on it, and
Eminem too.
And Eminem goes last, and just like the silliest verse.
That's an all-time.
Macadamia and his business blow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so good. So yeah, that was a special era with the Young Money era when Drake was like really popping on the scene, and yeah, those were some fun times. So but Dr. Dre, Eminem also like, I mean, produces a lot of stuff.
Does he?
Like, he's credited as the producer on a handful of G-Unit records. Like,
really?
Beat making.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're all like in the same rooms.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to learn a few things when you're spending all that time next to Dr. Dre.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, he's gonna tell you why he's doing something.
Yeah.
One of the craziest producers is like, he gets a lot of hate, but like DJ Khaled's crazy with the just like being able to bring people together. Yeah,
no, that's definitely his skill. His skill is just the mastermind.
That and just putting his brand on everything. But like the way he can get like Jay-Z on command to like write a verse is pretty crazy. And then next to Nicki Minaj, next to Bryson Tiller, next to Drake, next to Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Right? Like all on one album. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's
definitely built up crazy.
He's done really well for himself. There's not many people like him, but he's exceptionally good at what he does, which is, like you said, bring people together, just know what's going to fit with what, and just branding himself like nobody else, man.
Yeah, I don't know what his like text messages look like. He must be like firing off calls and texts all the time.
Yeah. I wonder if he ever sleeps.
Yeah. He's got a lot of like Ciroc and stuff though.
Yeah. That his last album was pretty good. I listened to
There's some good songs on there. Yeah. I have kind of burnt out with like his albums. Like I already kind of know it's gonna sound like a DJ Khaled album. You know, like I don't know. He's following the formula that's worked for him, and it's still working. He's still making good music. It's just I need something innovative every time because I'm a producer and I care about it more than just like songs to play at a party. I don't know. It's
good, like pool music.
Definitely.
And it serves a purpose in that. Like what you're gonna get. It does it really well. But like you said, it's not terribly pushing boundaries forward too much. But like Lil Baby, he's gonna ride that wave and cash out until there's a new flavor in town. So there's a new Slurpee flavor at the gas station, right?
Yeah.
And the same goes for like mixing trends too, like not just song styles, but mixing trends and all different kinds of things, like production styles. Yeah. Now rolled hi-hats are on everything. Every style of music's got rolled hi-hat. Like Taylor Swift's got rolled hi-hats. It's like it's like everywhere, right? But that's like the flavor right now. That's the sound.
Yeah.
And it has been for years, right? So
you ever listen to like EDM?
Not for pleasure, not like I'm not gonna go out of my way to, but yeah.
I had like a EDM future bass like Flume. Have you heard of Flume?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Like Flume. Like, I still think he's one of like the craziest producers out there. I had like a really big phase last summer where I listened to a lot of that kind of genre. It's really cool.
His album with the flower on it.
Yeah,
That I listened to
Fire.
like all the way
Fire.
through a couple of times. No, that
Fire.
I'm
Yeah.
familiar with.
Really dope project. That guy did something new, you know, like that's
Right.
why I liked it so much.
Right.
Or it was new to me. Like it was an old album. It was 2017 or 16. I don't even know. It wasn't that
Yeah. Yeah.
relatively like already kind of out there. But I
No.
only stumbled upon it
Yeah.
last summer.
No, but when
dope.
that came out, it was like, this is a new thing. Like
Yeah,
this is
he had like those really kind of slightly offbeat, like choppy
Yeah.
synthy sounds, but
Mhm.
like he made it work so well.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but that feelings, that's the important part. That feeling where you're like, whoa, right? Like that was unexpected, but I like it.
I love that.
Yeah,
Like when I put on the new Vince Staples album, and I was like, whoa.
exactly. Yeah, it's hard to like
Like,
hard to naturally think of a way to do it. It just comes with time and like experimentation.
yeah, and just being honest with yourself.
Yeah,
Not like, okay, what's hot right now?
Exactly.
But just like,
That-
how
that-
do I feel?
That comes back
What
to like
do I
what I
wanna
was
make?
saying. Like, it's not about what's hot. It's what about like, how do you bring all your inspiration into one little composition? That's the philosophy, I think.
Yeah, you've got to do that, but make it good.
Yeah.
And that's what makes new new music.
Yeah.
Because you could be yourself, but it could be bad, and you could not know how to rap on beat.
Exactly.
But it's when you're true to yourself, original, brave,
In
daring,
a commercial way.
in a commercial way.
Yeah.
That's when you get,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the formula.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a fun game.
it's a fun game, man. Yeah, and Earth's population keeps getting bigger, so chances of more and more of that are good.
Yeah.
And thank God for the internet.
Seriously. I hope they don't start limiting what we can do on the internet, though.
Yeah. Well,
If they shut
I
down.
don't think I don't know
I
why
don't think
they
they
would.
will. Not in the Western world.
Not in the Western
China,
world.
they're doing it.
Yeah, China,
Yeah.
North Korea.
That stuff's scary.
No, we're good.
Yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah, we're good for now. 2021. So
That's the thing, though. In like 5 years, tech's gonna like change the world again completely.
oh yeah, revolution. When we don't even know what
You
it's
don't
going to
know.
be yet. We're
You
just
don't even
it's
know.
around the corner, but like who
Yeah.
knows, dude? Yeah.
It's crazy.
Jesus. Yeah, just in like some people's lifetimes, like my grandmother's 91, and like they've gone from radio to like black TV to color TV to flat screen TV to 4K TV to 8K TV.
Yeah,
to,
and then there's a Tesla and a rocket ship
and there's a
somewhere
Tesla
around
and a rocket ship right now.
circulating the moon or the circulating the
There's
Earth.
a device in your pocket that knows the collective consciousness of all of mankind in your
Yeah.
pocket in one person's lifetime.
It's
so
pretty
like,
dope.
and where are we going to be in 90 more years? What's music going to sound like in 2100 or 2100?
That's an interesting question.
Are we still going to be on, or are we still going to be in stereo? Are we going to be on something else? Because they started out with mono, man. They started out with a gramophone.
They're just gonna inject the feeling through the Neuralink, bro.
right?
It's not
Through
gonna
that
be,
Elon Musk technology.
Yeah, you'll experience it, but without even having to hear it. You'll get the exact same experience.
They'll just plug it in. They'll just download it, like the fucking Matrix, man. Just download an album into your brain. and
Possibilities are endless.
Feeling. So,
You
we'll
ever watch
see.
Rick and Morty?
No,
Oh,
I
it's
have
funny.
not.
They have this thing
I know
called
about it, but-
interdimensional cable,
Okay.
and then they just like scroll through channels, but it's from every dimension, and it's just random ass like.
Oh, you really?
Plots.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I don't know. There's probably a YouTube short on it, just that one.
Yeah.
One clip. It's really funny.
Not too far away.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else that pressing that we need to bring up? I mean, the new J-Mon stuff is going to be coming out. That's going to be all over the city.
Yeah.
And we're both going to be stoked to have our names on that. Is there anything else that you want people to know about? Like, do you have a beat page where we can go check out samples of some of your production?
I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, just AK Going Crazy. Like, if you're in the city and you follow some people in the industry, and you search up AK, usually my name
Yeah,
comes
you'll
up.
pop up.
Like,
Yeah.
there's enough, I follow enough people to get there. But I'm thinking of doing, like, some sort of YouTube videos, like, maybe, like, break down a sample or two or a beat
Oh,
or
very
two,
cool.
just to, like, bring on some exposure. And Instagram lately hasn't been the best for just like outreach. Like TikTok's where it's at, so in terms of like natural, organic, reaching new audience. Like
Okay.
Instagram will basically blackball you until you pay for ads at this point. And so like if you want to, like if I wanted to sell a sample pack, it'd be better to have like some YouTube content where people watch a video, get some value, and then they're like, oh, this guy sells a pack here. Click
Right.
on the link. So I'm trying to just expand across horizontally across platforms, if that makes sense.
All you up and coming artists, invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Listen to this man.
Yeah,
Invest in yourself.
don't rely on Instagram outreach. Don't
Yeah.
rely just on TikTok. Don't rely
Yeah.
just on one thing.
Yeah. Put some money into what you believe in, you know, and work really hard.
It doesn't even cost that much to make a video,
Right.
Right, but like
Yeah.
take advantage of every platform.
Yeah.
Something I'm still learning how to do, but I plan on doing everything. So
Good for
we'll
you.
see. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has
course.
been a huge pleasure. I learned a lot from you today. And well, you know, I'd love to have you back sometime in the future once we got a couple plaques on these walls.
Yes, sir.
And then we
We'll
can
check in.
and
We'll
we
check
can-
in.
We'll check in. All right.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me.
AK Going Crazy. It's Max Deshaw on Demo to Limo. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
Bye.